Thank you for taking the time to check out my YouTube video, and hopefully you enjoy this series. This is a little bit of a long one, but I think you'll find that it's worth it once you get to the end. This is a very good package, and it has a lot of features. So also, if you enjoy game development, I encourage you to join our Discord server. I'll have a link in the description, and it's a good place to find tutorials, get places of resources from other people, and ask questions. So do that and like and subscribe and enjoy the video. Today we're going to go through the process of combining the Advanced Locomotion system and the survival game kit. These two work very well together, and I think for the survival game kit, one of the downsides of it is the movement system that's currently in there. It's very basic. It mostly focuses on all the other aspects, but is a very complete pack besides that. And that combined with with ALS really does a good job of making the whole pack feel complete. So first you'll need to have both installed. So go ahead and add, and I like to merge different packs into ALS just because of the way it's structured. So go ahead and open up the survival game kit. And you may notice here on the lower left, if it doesn't show the folders, you can click the Show Hide Sources panel, and then you should see the folder here. That's just generally how I like to work it. Right-click on the survival game kit, the main folder in there, and then we are going to choose to migrate. Now, my demo is opening this up twice. We won't need to. We'll close that here in a second. But it's going to choose all of the different files that are in this whole folder. So pretty much every file in here, we're going to want to copy those over. You want to choose where it goes. And so the one that I have, this is my ALS folder here now. You want to open that and then select Content, select Folder, and then press OK. It's going to start copying all of these files over. And so this may take a minute. It shouldn't overwrite any kind of files. It should just copy. It may give an error saying that some files were not copied. That is fine. And let's take a quick look at these settings just to see what we may be needing. So go to Edit and then Project Settings. And take a look at Collision. You'll notice under Collision, there's actually a channel for projectile. We will need to recreate that in the new project, the ALS project. Your inputs, these will be different names. That is fine. And then also there is a plugin that we will need. So go ahead and close that and then open up the ALS project. You can show or hide the panel if you want to see these on the left. You'll see now we have the ALS system and the survival game kit. If you hit play, everything will just be the survival game kit. Nothing is actually converted with what the project is using at this moment. So hit Edit, and then first there's a plugin that we need. So if you hit Edit and then Plugins, and then search for Apex. Apex is the destruction system that is used to have the rocks crumble, if anything is going to break apart, that is through Apex. So you need to, and that is used in the survival game kit. So check that box, hit Restart Now. It will relaunch the project, and that plugin will now be enabled. And so the next thing we'll want to do is we will want to go into the project settings, and we're going to re-add that collision channel that's used for the projectiles of weapons. So edit project settings, and then go to collision, and then under object channels, click new object channel and type projectile. It had a capital P. So we're going to keep that exactly the same. Hit accept, and now we will have that in place. You'll notice under here, there are different titles, different names for each of these actions and access inputs, but that is fine. We will work around that. So we now have both sets of files, and you can ignore the starter content folder. It is not used. You could delete that folder if you want to. It's not actually used in this process. So go ahead and first of all, we're going to combine the character skeletons, because these are two different skeletons with different sockets in each, And so we will want to make them so they're using one so that the animations are usable between both systems. So I like to take the survival game kit skeleton and actually combine it with the ALS skeleton. So go under survival game kit, character, mesh, and then you'll see the UE4 mannequin skeleton. Go ahead and open that up, and then we will just kind of compare it really quickly to also you could open up the ALS skeleton that is under Advanced Locomotion V3 characters mannequin. So the main thing that is in the ALS skeleton are the virtual bones from the thigh to the calf. So that's the same as having a bone that is rigged into the character, but it does it virtually and it's only inside of Unreal. Here on the game kit side, we actually have sockets for the various weapons and then a camera socket. If you would like, you could right-click, copy selected socket. You're looking at it's going into root. You could then go to root, right-click, paste sockets to selected bone. That would add it down here, but I'm going to take you through another process that will also do it. So you can close both of those. I like to save all, fix up redirectors, do that every once in a while. We haven't done anything really to have that happen yet. And then this will not do what's intended, but I'm going to show you why so that if you run into this in the future, you'll know what to do. So right-click on the UE4 mannequin skeleton under the survival game kit, and then retarget to another skeleton. You'll notice that the ALS skeleton is not listed here. There's a reason for that. Let's go ahead and open up the survival game kit skeleton, and then go to the retarget manager. You see here under rig is not selected. Under the ALS character, rig is selected. So this just matches up the various bone names to the what Unreal expects in this. If you just hit that, it will fill them all in. You could hit save and then close that. Right-click on the UE4 mannequin skeleton under survival game kit one more time, retarget to another skeleton, and now you'll see that the ALS mannequin skeleton is there. So let's go ahead and select it. You'll see them both. They have similar stances that they're doing. Their poses are both in the A rather than a T. That is fine. So we're going to hit retarget. This will take a minute to do. It's going to go through all the animations and everything else, and it's combining these two skeletons. So it's kind of similar to the process of when we originally, if you were to add the sockets manually and then hit delete on the skeleton and then do the replace method. It's kind of doing some of that similar process, but it's not doing them for we will still have to do kind of a replace for some of these meshes that are there. So now it's going through all the animations, saving, making sure that they're using this new skeleton. And then once this is done, we will, of course, do fix up redirectors. That's something that you need to be conscious of as you work through this. And make sure throughout the process that you're hitting save. Remember, you can always pause, rewind if there's something you miss. I'm really going to try to point out each step that I do so that if you listen carefully enough, if you follow closely enough, you'll have the exact same result by the end. So now under Survival Game Kit, Character Mesh, select and delete that mannequin. It's now going to ask, do you want to replace this mannequin with another one? Before we do that, let's compare the two. I'm confident that it worked, but let's open up the mannequin from ALS, and let's open up the mannequin from the Survival Game Kit. We're going to look at the skeleton tree on both of those. Let's scroll down. You now see this is the ALS skeleton. It has the sockets, the virtual bones that were originally there, and that camera socket as well. So it took all the unique things about the Survival Game Kit skeleton and brought them into the ALS skeleton. So now that makes me confident that we can delete the Survival Game Kit skeleton, choose the ALS skeleton, hit replace, and now everything will be down to one skeleton. Hit save selected. Of course, at the top, fix up redirectors one more time. Okay, now save all. and we're down to one skeleton in the project. So now we're going to want to actually remove the SK mannequin. The reason that I specifically remove the survival game kit one is that because of IK inverse kinetics and which post processing and all that, there is a reason that's set in the ALS mannequin. It is not set here. So if we delete this one and tell it to use the mannequin under ALS, that one will have all the proper settings that ALS is looking for. So do that, right click on the mesh folder, fix up redirectors again, save all, should be good on that. That will then allow you to delete this mannequin physics asset. Make sure you do not delete the ARMS version. And let's move, so this ARMS, you can select one, shift click the other. Let's drag and move those to the mannequin folder under ALS and hit move here. Right click on that mesh folder, fix up redirectors, save all, should be good. You now should be able to delete that mesh folder, and I'm going to clean up to where there is no character folder here, just so all the character stuff is under ALS. You can delete this chest logo. There's nothing referring to that. Now, when you delete the body material, it's going to say that that's in use right now by the ARMS. But this material already exists, and it's a duplicate for ALS. So actually type man_body, and you'll see that there is one here. Select that and replace it. And now both meshes for first and third person are using the same material. So you don't have a duplicate there that you don't need. Select character up top. So if you get any kind of errors, you definitely want to fix up those redirectors, and then it should just allow you to delete that folder. So now we've cleaned up and gotten all that character stuff out of the survival game kit, and it is all in one place here under mannequin under ALS. So let's go ahead now and let's start to work through. We've added the projectile. So that is in there. We've added the plugin. And so now it should be to the point where we can start merging these two together. We've got the skeletons down to one. So open up, go to the Advanced Locomotion V3 Blueprints, and then you'll see that there's two characters here. There's the mannequin character, which is just a child blueprint of the base character. That means that it is really just a copy, and all it retains are the variations, the differences between the two. We'll leave this in here because I don't think we'll see a conflict at the moment from leaving this as is. If we hit the end and we see that there's something weird happening, we will revisit this. But I think we can get away with leaving the mannequin character as is. Let's go and open up the ALS base character. And then we're also going to go to under Survival Game Kit Blueprints, expand that, and then there'll be characters, and you'll see a master character and a survival character. So just open up the survival character for now. Let's compare these two and see what is different between the survival character and the ALS base character. First of all, I'm going to bring these a little bit closer together because later we will want access to all of these at once. So you've got various blueprints in here, but the biggest thing I notice is on the upper right here, it says parent class. This is parented, so this survival character is actually a child of this master character. If you look at the base character, it's not doing that. So you'll want to make sure that on here that you don't that whatever, if you're doing another project and you're kind of following these steps just generally of how to do this, you want to make sure that they both don't have master characters, because that means that you have to do more merging to be able to get this process going. So go ahead and on the ALS base character, we're going to change this to parent to be that master character so that it's the same as this. To do that, you need to click class settings. Let's click class settings on both of these so that you can see the difference between them. So on the survival character, you'll notice that there are no interfaces here. It does have the parent class there. The ALS character does have an interface. So we don't have to worry about adding any interfaces to the ALS base character. The one thing that you'll notice is that these are inherited. So on the survival character, those interfaces are actually coming from that master character. So when we add that master character to the base character, those will automatically be put in. So let's go ahead and do that. On the base character, hit the drop down under parent class, type master character. Should only see one left. Select that. Hit compile and hit save. Now, in case through any of these processes something crashes, you'll want to every once in a while go to the level, hit save all, just so that if something does crash, that you'll be able to get right back to the point where you're at. So now let's try to find any other variations of what might be different between these two. So in here, I'm pretty confident that under class settings, those are all the same now. But let's look under construction script. So on both of them, they are different. We're mostly concerned of what we need to take over and put in the base character. So it is connecting to the parent construction script. So we're going to copy that. So right click and copy, or you can select it and hit Control C. Then go to the construction script of the ALS base character, hit paste, Control V, drag it over and connect that. That means that whatever is in that construction script section of that parent class, that will run when this script runs. So other than that, if you look on the left here, there's nothing that's not inherited. So everything is being relied on for that master character. I don't see other things other than these two variables down here, which let's go ahead and create those on the other system right now. So select, and this is under the survival character, select the scroll index, drag it out, hit get scroll index. Same thing for last index, drag it out, hit get last index. You'll now have these both here. Now let's look at what's unique about these. I don't see any special settings other than the scroll index is -1. So we need to remember that. Select both of those. You can right click and hit copy or hit Control C. And then let's get to the event graph base area here. And then let's Control V paste those here. We now want to create, so right click on them, create variable scroll index. Right click on the last index, create variable last index. Hit compile so you can see what the default value is. All this looks the same except for there's no -1 here. So for both of those, we want to put -1 for the scroll index and the last index. So now when you go look at the other one, they're identical. So those are created. You can actually delete these references here on the base character, and you can delete them on the survival character because we don't need them other than them creating again. So what we want to do on the survival character now is I don't see anything else that we need to copy over other than everything in the event graph. So highlight and drag over all the content of this event graph. It's going to be pretty big, but then right click on one of the nodes and then hit copy, or you can hit Control C and then zoom way out under the event graph of the base character and hit Control V. And then you want to kind of drag that to where it's all in a reasonable amount of space to be able to move through. So hit compile, and you'll see a bunch of errors under the base character. We're not so concerned about the errors under the survival character because we're not going to use this anymore. So go ahead and close the survival character. And let's start working through the problems that we have with this base character now. So the first thing is there's, click the first error, you'll see get move forward. Now this is not the same. The thing is under project settings. So edit project settings. You'll look at the inputs And you'll see that it's move forward slash backwards, not just move forward. Same thing with the left and right. It's move forward right slash left. You'll see that the one that came over from the survival kit is move right, and there's no left on there. So this is some of the error that's running into. So what you want to do is right click on a blank area, and just remember get move forward. You need to search for get move forward, and you'll see there's the function for the get move forward slash backwards. Select that, and then control click and drag that line right up to the first function. So now you'll have get move forward backslash going into that equals, and you can delete the get move forward. Now we're going to use this a number more times. So what you want to do is copy this. So copy it, and then through the list, click all of the ones that say get move forward slash backwards. And make sure you only do the move forward slash backwards. Control click and drag each of those. And we're going to replace all of those references. And ignore this one for now. This is the one that's the input. We're actually going to fix that in the next step. All right, so go ahead and compile, refresh those errors, narrow them down a little bit, and then click the get move right error. We're going to do a very similar process. So right click in a blank area and search for get move right, and you'll see there's a function called get move right slash left. Select that. We'll control click and drag that variable down. Then delete the move right. Right click and copy or hit Control C on the get move right slash left. And then let's go through here and select in the error list all of the get move rights. And we're going to replace them all. All right, we're going to ignore once again that input. So go to the next error. It says server rotate character set. You'll notice that there's red on here. That we don't need to do any fancy things to replace this. All we need to do is highlight them, right click, and hit refresh nodes. That's going to fix that up. Compile. All those errors went away. Now we're just to inputs being the problem. And so we can actually fix these on the fly here. First of all, the mouse input, we don't need. This is a very basic one from the survival game kit. It's not doing any more than what the ALS system is doing. The ALS actually has more to it, but ALS is doing these two things already. So we can actually delete. So drag and delete all of the mouse input area. So that gets us down to just 3 more errors. Now we have the move forward and the move right. So we can actually delete move forward and move right, the ones that have errors. Right click on the character movement, select cut, and now we need to search. So go to find results and search for move forward. And you'll notice on their input access move forward slash backwards. Double click that, and that takes you to the ALS movement input. That's under the player input graph. You want to Control V. So now we have these two things right here. We have our forward backwards, and we have our right left. We have to figure out how to combine these. So what we'll do is actually drag this out a little bit. And before we add this on here, I want to take a look inside of this character movement and see. One thing I do is, like, when you copy these things, it kind of adds extra numbers and things on the end here. So let's delete that. So it just says character movement on the upper right when you have it selected. So now it says character movement. Double click it. And let's look at what this is doing. So there's add movement input, and this is under character movement here. So character movement, and make sure we're in the right place here. Okay, so we have character movement here, and then we have the one for ALS. So I want to make sure we're keeping this straight. This one is for Survival Game Kit. This one is for ALS. So let's open up the ALS one now. So it does some different effects based on whether you're falling or on the ground versus ragdoll. So if you're moving forward, yes, it's going to do these. It's going to do some of these things based on what state you're in, whether you're on the ground, falling, or ragdoll. If it's not, then it will do the second set. Now, the grounded and the falling actually go to the same place. The ragdoll is the difference. So when it comes down to it in the end, it's really doing this. And this is the traditional movement input. So this is add movement input. And some of this is duplicated between these two, the character movement. So that's add movement input and the normal input. So between the two systems, they're kind of doing the same thing. So I want to use the movement system from ALS for the most part. So what we could do is actually, we could replace some of these sections with the code from this other one. Now we want to make sure we do this in a way that's not going to create conflicts. So let's go ahead and get back to, double click this move forward backwards again. And let's highlight and drag these movement inputs here. Actually, we're going to right click and cut those. And then we're going to drag this movement, character movement here, and connect these up. Now what we'll do is open up that character movement and paste. So we have these two inputs here. I'm going to try this and we'll see if we run into any errors. But what we'll do is delete all this add forward movement input. And then let's place them in here. So this checkbox, all it's saying is this moving forward / backwards versus is this moving left and right? This is forward backwards on the top, left and right on the bottom. So these checkboxes are correct. So drag that and connect it. Drag that and connect to the other side. Now, one thing I am curious of, and I want to do a quick kind of test on the fly here, is this, because there's no outputs, is this actually reaching this point? So I'm going to drag off of player movement input, the top one. I'm going to search for print string. I just want to see, we'll delete this afterwards, but I want to see if it hits this point, if it ever reaches the end. Because if it's not, it's never going to execute this. Okay, so it is. You see all those hellos flying down the screen. I just wanted to make sure that that was actually working, because if it wasn't, we wouldn't have all the code executing that we want. So we've got that there. We have client movement, and then we have this face moving direction. Now we don't really want this face moving direction because this is from the survival game kit. And ALS actually has a very good way of facing you to the proper direction. So what we really want to do is right click and just disconnect this. We'll break the link here so it won't do the face movement direction, because you'll actually get some weird inputs and movements if you leave that as is. So we've got on here, we've added what was on the original one to the end of this branch on both of those, and that's continuing. So it's integrated the survival game kit, the ALS system, back to survival game kit content. Go back to your find search Let's go back to that move forward/backwards, and you can see they're now fully integrated here. So we can drag this over just to keep it nice and clean looking. And then we've got one more error to fix, and this is the input action jump. So this is the jump because it's the blue background. This is actually for the survival game kit. So what we want to do is highlight all of this, right click, hit cut. So we're taking all that jump, and then we want to search for jump action because that is the name of the input for ALS. And then to the left of that, paste it. And now we've got the 2. So we've got some repetitive, actually what I'll do is I'll drag this down so you can kind of compare these two. Give ourselves a little more room. All right, so these are both the inputs for jump. One is one that's valid, one's not. But when you release it, it does stop jumping. Those are exactly the same on these two. So what we can actually do is let's start narrowing this down. We'll delete the stop jumping there because that happens there. The jump happens here and it happens here. So we need to have this between the two. What this is doing is checking to see if your inventory is open. And if your inventory is open, it doesn't let you jump. One thing I'm going to do is clean up. Let's clean up on the upper right when you have that selected. Delete the 2 and 2 if you want. It's not the end of the world if it's left on there, but I like having it clean looking. So what we're going to do is add this is inventory jump, or is inventory open, between the input and this switch ALS stance. Because we wanted to do it for both standing and crouching. So what I'm going to do is drag into the left side of it from pressed. From else, I'm going to drag into that switch ALS stance. I'm going to delete the input action jump that's not the correct one. And then I'm going to delete the jump that's left over that's not needed. And then we're going to put that on the end of jump here. So highlight the client exit aimed and the client inventory component. Put that right at the end, connect it up to that jump. And now we're down to one jump. Let's go ahead and drag that in. We should be able to compile now, and we have no errors. So what we can do is let's actually do a save all really quick. I'm on a newer Unreal, which hasn't had a patch, a secondary patch or hotfix yet, so I get nervous that it might crash. All right, so we're able to move around, jump, crouching. All the movement seems to be fairly normal inside of ALS, but we have a lot of extra code there now. So go ahead and on the left-hand side in the ALS-based character, double-click Event Graph. And we can see all of this is together, no errors. But one thing I like to do is in the search here, type custom. There's no errors here. One thing you'll notice is that he doesn't do ticks and things like that in this this character here. So that makes it nice because we don't have conflicts that we need to compare. But one thing we want to do is find places that maybe have conflicting keyboard inputs. So what I first like to do is on search, type pressed, and let's go to tab. So right now, he's using tab for the game kit to be able to open up the inventory. I don't like that. I want to use tab for something else later. And so let's go to edit project settings. And we're going to keep that tab open as we go back and forth, but go to input. And let's, first of all, we don't want to switch our rotation. I mean, you may find that you want that, but you could always remap that to something else. I'm going to delete these. So select rotation. Those are ALS features. And then let's start fixing some of these inputs as far as what you would expect them to be. So stance action, that is actually crouch. So I want to name that something that we'll recognize later in the code, and we can fix the errors that brings right now. I don't want left alt. I want it to be C. You can set these to whatever you'd like as long as they don't conflict with something else, but I'm just going to take you through and we'll make it what makes sense to me at the time. You can leave the walk action the same. Aim action is your right mouse button, so when you're aiming. Camera action, I want that to actually be V for view. So we're going to jump back and forth with the camera. Ragdoll you can leave as X. And now we want to have, we'll add one. So click the plus at action mappings and then type inventory action. And then I want that to be the I key. So hit I, scroll down till you find the I. Inventory action is I. So now here I can right click somewhere and type inventory action. And you'll see I now have an input for inventory action. I'll drag that over, replace the tab, compile, go back to the viewport here, hit save all just to be safe. And then we're going to hit play. So there was a conflict. Tab in ALS does kind of a troubleshooting information panel here. Now I will open up your inventory as expected. So we're good on that. So let's now look through some of these other ones. You'll see we left mouse button. This would be something that would be fire. So I'm going to go into the project settings, and then for action mappings, let's have one called fire action. The reason that you would put them here rather than creating a direct mapping of having something like it's doing right now, saying left mouse button, if you're going to create menus in places where people can customize their menus, their inputs, you'll want to use this. This is how it does it. So fire action is going to be mouse, left mouse. There's left mouse button. Right click below the left mouse button input, type fire action. Control click and drag pressed. There we go. So now we have a fire action. Crouch here, that is something that's actually conflicting because we have a crouch already in ALS. Let's see what it's doing. If you click through that, it's making sure whether or not the inventory is initialized. It checks to see if the player is falling, and then either uncrouches the player or crouches the player, and then does it on the server. So we don't need to do all this twice. And so let's go ahead and double click on, actually go back into ALS character, and let's drag and cut. So we want to select that whole crouch and hit cut. Go to search, and now search for the crouch action. That doesn't exist, but if you hit compile, you will notice that there's an error. It's because it's saying, this is an action, stance action. So let's first click the first one, which is the rotation. It's saying that these don't exist, which is true. So I'm just going to delete those. If you want to add them back later, you can. You'll notice we're now down to one error. That is the stance action. So right click and put input crouch. You'll see crouch action there. And then let's replace this. All right. So what we'll need to do is actually now paste here. Here's the crouch. We want to make sure that this is doing what it's supposed to do. So remember in here, it was calling this crouch, and it's actually doing the crouch over here after doing a few things. So you've got your player inventory component on the right. You have your ALS base character here on the left. And so what we can really do is probably narrow some of this down. We don't need the server crouch because we're already doing a crouch here, but really what it's doing is actually just setting a variable saying we are crouched. So we might want to keep that because some animations in the way that the upper body are moving with the survival game kit may change based on whether or not this variable is set. it's not actually doing a crouch. So I'm not super concerned about this being here. And so let's go and get back into there. We'll click through. But the one thing it is doing is it's duplicating some here. So we want to actually have the crouch happen after it makes sure you're not falling and the inventory is initialized. I'm not really concerned about that because ALS does all these checks anyways. And so what we really can do is just get rid of all this. We don't need any of this crouch action. And I think that, actually, I take that back. We do need some of that crouch action, but we don't need all of this. And so what we can do is delete this uncrouch, cast a character, get owner, and crouch, and then just drag, setting these variables still, because we do still want it to set a variable. And then let's just kind of clean and put these back to where it's just one small little function. So now the one that was Survival Game Kit isn't actually crouching at all. It's setting some variables just to let the system know that it's crouching. And then we can determine, once we're in the N and BP and things, whether or not we want to actually use those variables. So compile and save that. Just taking a second. Okay. And go back to ALS-based character. And then we're just going to put this in between here. Now, my biggest concern is if this gets confused, because you may need to worry about this uncrouching when it's really crouching. Currently, it will say crouching here, and it's going to do the opposite. We'll test that, see if we notice any errors. But if that is a problem, what you might want to do is pass a variable. And I'm not going to go in depth in this, but I'm just going to mention what you could do is based on crouching versus uncrouching, you could have it to where it sets a variable and then passes it into this, which then would show up here under crouch. You could have an output, and then you could actually use that to pass whether or not it's crouching or not, to where they would always sync up. We're not going to do that right now. We're going to see if this works. I think it will. But if you do run into an inconsistent state, you may want to look at that in the future. Okay, so we've got our crouching and uncrouching. Let's just do a quick test of that, make sure everything is good. We will also want to make sure we fix up redirectors just in case. As I work on these files, I just like to make sure everything is still working. Okay. That is working. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to our ALS-based character. And under player input graph, look at the top here. There's a lot of things that are inputs that I don't want to use because they're possibly conflicts with things in Survival Game Kit. So I'm going to delete tab and game special left in the debug panel, and delete T, and delete V, B, R, and M. These are all things that we don't need to be able to test this. So here, this is the camera action. This is changing your view. We're actually going to change a little bit with that. So go ahead and go back to clear this. If you have a search in here, hit X, open up graph, double click event graph, and then let's start looking through here. Rotate mesh, that's fine. B, that would have been a conflict before. These are the numbers. We cleared up that conflict. Left shift is sprint. So what we want to do is highlight all of the left shift area, shift modifier, right click and hit cut, and then search for sprint action. Want to jump to that? Here is the ALS sprint action. Let's look and see what it's actually doing under client shift. All it's doing is setting a variable. That's fine. I'm not concerned about that really messing anything up. It would only do something if we're taking advantage of it later. So what we want to do is drag this out where it says sprint action. And then we're going to move everything except for left shift over there. Delete left shift. And then drag pressed up to the top one, the node that's there, and released down to the bottom one. And then where it says client shift and it's checked with key down, drag that down to should sprint with checked, and drag the bottom one to the should sprint with not checked. Now you can delete that other box, it's empty. All right, so that should be your sprinting action. So let's just make sure everything still works. Yep, still sprints like normally. That should be fine. All right. So let's do a quick run through again under the event graph. We're just making sure there's nothing that's conflicting. Q is fine. The camera view. So this is something that we already have a camera action. So you want to drag over the camera, toggle camera view under the event graph. Right click and choose cut on that. And type into search view action. Actually camera action, sorry. Double click that input action, camera action. And then here's the ALS camera things. Control paste that over there onto the left of it. And let's merge some of this, because first of all, let's select this one and take the two off of there. We don't need them with the wrong name. One thing you'll notice, if you left this as it is, you'll notice some weird things of when you're pressing your change view. Sometimes it'll switch shoulders, and it's kind of a timed thing. I don't really like doing it that way. I'll actually create a different way of doing this. And so let's open up the camera for the survival game kit. And I really want to use the camera stuff from the survival game kit, not from ALS, because survival game kit is going to be determining how we work with the guns and everything else. I would rather rely on its camera input rather than the one from ALS. So go back to the beginning of that. So in your search, double click that camera action again, drag the camera action over to the left, and we're actually going to delete the V, drag pressed over to the toggle camera view, and then where it says released, right click that, hit break that sequence. So now it's just using the survival game kits, but maybe you still want to do the switching shoulders. If you still want to do the switching shoulders, what you could do is just highlight where it says set right shoulder not, update camera event, highlight all these nodes here that I have highlighted, right click, hit cut, and then hit Control V, paste them over here by themselves, and then right click in a blank area and type tab. You'll see our keyboard events tab. We'll test this here in a second, but drag that over to the right set shoulder. And then let's just do a quick test here, and let's see how this works. Okay, let's put me in first person. That is correct. third person, first person, tab. Now tab is not working, but let's make sure. It might be because we don't have some other code that we need. But one thing I want to do is under search, let's type tab. Okay, so this is the only, I want to make sure there wasn't a conflict there. So making sure that nothing is, we'll come back to this because maybe we'll be able to get this working. I know I've got it working before. So we'll come back to, we have tab there, should switch between the shoulders. And by the end, we'll test it again just to see what happens. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to the event graph here. F, we're not worried about that input. H hides the HUD, there's no conflict there. Mouse wheel up and down, that is fine. We'll leave that is right now because there's nothing else conflicting with that. Okay, so we've got a lot of these initial things all set in here, but there are some settings that we need to look at really quick. And so let's just kind of do a quick rundown to make sure we've got our parent construction script parented correctly. We've gotten rid of those rotation modes. We are correctly aiming. So that should, yeah, let's make sure. Let's double check this because I have a feeling, let's search for right mouse. All right, we've got a conflict here. I didn't think we had another right mouse, but we do because ALS has a right mouse. So right click, hit cut, and then in search type aim, actually aim action, that'll narrow it down to 1. And then go ahead and paste that to the left. So we've got these two here, and what we can do is actually combine these a little bit because I don't want to use this changing the looking direction because I'm going to make it so that we're always in the looking direction. So what we'll do is actually combine these together. So drag this right mouse button, or actually delete the right mouse button there. Then drag this aim action over there. And then each of these set ALS aiming events, we want each of those, the checked one on top, the other one on the bottom, and then you can delete this set ALS rotation mode and delete the ALS rotation mode switch. And you can delete the aim box, and then we're just going to connect these up. So the pressed aim action goes to set ALS aiming event and then connects to that first node so that the checks are on the top, unchecked on the bottom. So now we have this connected properly. We'll drag it over. Compile and save that, and then let's just do a quick test again. This should, let's see what this does. Okay, so now it doesn't zoom in anymore when you're, but it does put you in kind of a stance. We don't want it to be, so you have a choice on this. You could either set it full time to where it's in a ready stance, or you could have it to where when you're right clicking, it goes into a ready stance. But we do want it to where the camera follows the player all the time, because notice how the camera is facing me? We don't want that. So under ALS base character, select the ALS base character self, and then on the right where it says advanced locomotion system, go to state values, and then ALS rotation mode, we don't want velocity direction, we want looking direction. All right, so now see how it's staying behind the player. I think that's how we're going to want it for based. You can drag around, but the character is going to turn where you're facing. All right, so let's make sure we got that set as an aim action. Let's make sure we've got our running correct. Got our looking direction set. So now we want to adjust a little bit how the camera. So let's do update camera events. Now, the reason that it wasn't switching the shoulders is because this is using the wrong camera. You'll notice we have conflicting cameras here. And so rather than dragging all of these out and swapping all these, let's see how many there are. So right-click on this TP spring arm, find references. Okay, there's only 2, so that's not bad. We'll be totally content with that. So what we're going to do is where it says inherited TP camera boom, we're going to drag that to the left, and if you release on it, it should swap it out. TP camera boom right there. We'll select the second one, TP camera boom. So both of those are now TP camera boom. Notice if you do a search, there's no other ones there. The same thing, what we'll want to do is actually do a search for the TP camera as well. So if you right click up here on the TP camera, find references, there's one reference here. We want that to actually link up to this TP camera. So you got TP camera here. They look the same, but one has an underscore on it. So drag, left click. It'll replace it. You won't notice a difference. But when you search, you'll see that it went away. So now both of these cameras, this camera, the TP camera, is no longer used. You could do a right click, find references to verify that. So you can delete that. And the spring arm's no longer used. You can right click, search for references. You'll see that's gone as well. But this first person camera is. So we want to right click on that, find references. There's 2 places that this first person camera is referenced. So what we want to do is go to this inherited one because this is on the master blueprint. We want to drag and click this, drag it over to the left and replace this reference to the camera. Click the next one, do the same thing. FP camera, drag and replace that. Hit enter down here to search again. They're gone. Compile and save that. Right click this FP camera again. You'll see there's no references. You're safe to delete that as well. Let's do a quick test because now our shoulder camera should work correctly. See, now it swaps between shoulders. When you right click, it zooms in a little bit, puts you in a ready stance. That's working correctly. Also, there is a setting. You'll notice that there is some sort of a marker that's left over on this survival game kit, and this is in the instructions if you watch his tutorial. But you'll want to go in the ALS base character, and then go to the ADS socket that's here. So ALS base character on the left side. Scroll down to ADS socket under the first person camera, and then you'll want to scroll down until you find rendering. And then there's a checkbox for hidden in game. You don't want that socket to show in game. So check under ADS socket, hidden in game, compile and save, and that'll make that disappear. Another thing that we need to do under this ALS character is let's look at under mesh. Right now, this doesn't have anything in there, but we do need to set on these to use the proper anim BP. So head, legs, backpack, chest, and feet. We actually want those to use the mannequin underscore anim BP. That's the ALS animation. So that's when you put on a hat, you put on the leg protection, things like that, that it's actually using the correct animation. You could do the same thing for the mesh here. Use mannequin anim BP. And that should take care of, you're not seeing a mesh in here because we're using that child blueprint currently. So you don't see it in there. Also go to your first person camera on the left here. And then you want to uncheck auto activate. So don't activate the first person camera first. And so, all right, let's go ahead and compile, save, make sure everything works correctly. All right, good. So let's go ahead and close this player inventory component. We don't need that right now. We can close the project settings because we've got all the inputs I think that we're going to need at the moment. And we're going to have to start combining, because you'll notice that we don't, actually, I'll show you with a test. We don't need this map anymore. So let's switch it to where it's using the survival map, because that one has a lot more features for us to test. All we can do is run around in the ALS map. So hit Edit, Project Settings, and then under Maps and Modes, you'll have to hit the drop down for the Editor Startup Map and choose Showcase. Same thing with the Game Default Map, Showcase. So the next time, you can close that. The next time that you enter, it will actually load that map instead. To get there immediately, either we could close and reopen, or you can go under Survival Game Kit, go to Maps, double-click Showcase. And let's do a quick test. Let's see what's working and what's not. Because you'll notice in here, first of all, it's not loading the correct character. This is because it doesn't know what character we need to use. It's got this thing that says player start, but when you load this map, notice that there's no game mode. The game mode needs to be set. So let's do ALS game mode single player. Therefore, it's choosing that mannequin character, which is the one that has the mesh on it. Looks correct. And the rest should be fine. So let's hit play. The character is now in the map. Let's try to pick something up, though. All right. So when we try to activate that gun, notice it doesn't do anything. That's because it doesn't know the proper animations yet to be able to equip that gun. And so we're going to have to make some changes first. We're going to have to, let's first open up both of those anim BPs. So under Advanced Locomotion V3, go to Character Mannequin, and then you have the Mannequin anim BP here. We'll open that up and then go back, scroll down to where you get to Survival Game Kit, Animations, and then Animation Blueprints. And then we have the third person anim there. So we've got the ALS, which is the Mannequin anim BP, and the third person anim, which is for the Survival Game Kit. And let's just kind of look and see what the differences are. So first we want to go to the event graph. There's a lot of things in here, and that is fine. There are some things that will conflict, and when we combine these, we'll correct each of those. So, but we'll get to the event graph on both. Scroll out pretty far. And let's just make sure under class settings, let's compare these before we do a copy and paste, because we want to make sure all these things are correct. So in the original one, ALS, it's got its ALS. That's fine. We don't need to worry about, since we're going into that one. But on the Survival Game Kit, it's got BP Animation Interface. So we need to make sure that that is actually added. So on the Mannequin Anim BP, under Interfaces, keep note of that name, BP Animation Interface. Select Add, type BP Animation Interface. That is now added. Hit compile and save. Let's compare one more time. All right, so there's that one to there. They're both parented to the anim instance, so that is fine. Now there is a function here that's different. So there's a function, bunch of functions there. Here there's only one function. It's called can jump. So we need to recreate that before we copy it over. So I clicked where let me rename. I just hit Control C. I'm copying the name exactly on that function. I'm going to go into anim BP for the mannequin. I'm going to click plus function up here, and then Control V that name in there. So you have a function called can jump. Double click it. See how it's empty here? Go back, double click on the function inside of the survival game kit function. Highlight all that, but keep note, it says should jump. That is an output here. Actually, it's an input here, but it's outputting out of the can jump. So we'll need to recreate that. So first of all, select this, should jump. It's a Boolean. We'll go to this can jump here. We'll hit plus next to inputs. Same thing, should jump. Now you have the exact same inputs. Go back to the third person anim, highlight all this, hit Control C, paste it over here. You see it automatically added jumping as a Boolean. We'll drag should jump down to the and here. Drag the two nodes together. It's pretty close, other than enable jump does not exist. So we need to look at this original one, kind of compare the two. Is there anything other than the category name? I want to keep the category names as we go through this. So select that, hit Control C for category if you want to have those organized in the same manner. Right click on enable jump, hit create variable enable jump, and then under category, paste that so it goes in the proper category under the variable list. Hit compile again. All right, so now we have the exact same functions between the two. The rest of these we're going to deal with as we go through, because we're going to find that a lot of these are wrong. One thing that we will do, as hopefully you're listening at this moment and not zipping through so fast that you don't catch what I'm about to say, because this will save you a lot of time. Let's look under variable references. See where it says ALS-based character right here? Copy that exact name, because I want you to go to the character here under third person anim, select it and rename the character to ALS-based character. Because when we copy and paste this, they will then be identical. We won't have to redo it. It's going to link right up to the correct ones, and it'll save us a lot of moving around. So double click to go back to the event graph, and then on both blueprints, get back to the event graph, zoom out pretty far, and in the third person anim, I want you to highlight everything. I want to highlight all of this, hit Control C, or you can right click on a section, hit copy, then go to the mannequin anim BP and hit paste. Then you can kind of drag it to where it's positioned around each other. But after you hit compile, you notice there's a bunch of errors. So first of all, the one thing I want to check, type custom. You notice there is a custom event. We need to figure out what that is. It says update animation here. So in third person anim, we need to look at that exact same place and say, what is this? Okay, this is event blueprint update animation. Event blueprint update animation. We have that under the event update every frame. So what we want to do is actually click update every frame and drag it just above the update animation block. And then what we want to do is actually drag that block a little bit to the left for update every frame, select the event blueprint update animation and is valid, drag it to the left, and then drag off of true and make a sequence. So we've now got a sequence here, and we don't need this custom event because it's not doing anything. So drag that down to is valid and delete the custom event. Now hit compile. We have no custom thing, so that means there's no more conflicts with these two. You can delete update animation. That should correctly do all this process. Now we just have to go through and start creating these variables. So first of all, click the top one, that's set holding item, right click, create variable holding item. We need to look between these two. Let's see if there's anything special. I would select and copy the category because a lot of these categories are going to be using non-edit. Other than that, it doesn't look like there's anything special. So hit compile, holding item, category, you can name that the same thing. All right, now we're going to go to set held actor, right click, create that. Set held actor. It is replicated. So keep in mind that is replicated. So we need to match that. So in your mannequin anim BP, select replicated, and then category is non-edit. So now those are the same. Hit compile and save that. All right, now right click, create the variable crouching, compare that. All right, so let's see, crouching here, that is just non-edit. There's no other special variables there. Set holdable animations, right click, create that. Let's double check. All that is non-edit. The rest of these are all empty, so you don't need to do anything special for that. Compile it. Get pitch. Right click that. Just double click pitch here, or select pitch. One thing you'll notice, value range. It limits it to 70, so we'll want to match that. So remember 70, it's in non-edit. Other than that, everything is the same. So just type 70. Oops. And compile that, and you should see they're identical between the two. Get yaw. Yaw doesn't have any special settings. It is under non-edit. Recompile that, gets rid of a number of the errors. Use left-hand socket, right-click that, hit create variable. Let's compare, not the left-hand transform, you'll see that one. It's actually called left-hand socket. So use left-hand socket, use left-hand socket. All it is non-edit, so you don't have to worry about anything there. Set range weapon animation. You'll notice there's a spelling error with this. Do not fix that now. No matter how much you're tempted at the moment, do not fix this at the moment till we're done. At the very, very end, you can go in and rename this variable. But if you do it now, you're going to cause problems and things that will cause you to have to go through and do a couple steps to fix it. So leave this spelled incorrectly. I know for us that are OCD, it's going to drive you crazy, but leave it there. Just do not try to fix it at the moment because we need it to be spelled wrong in the future as we're copying some things around. So the range, weapon animations, non-edit, everything else is the same. All right, so set aimed. So Boolean, so go ahead, check that. All it is non-edit. Set reloading. Non-edit. Set left-hand transform. Non-edit. These are all default values. Play death animation. Notice it's that red color. And the last time, what we did to fix that is just select it. You could highlight it if it's a group of them. Select the individual if it's just one. Right click, hit refresh nodes. Recompile that. Error goes away for it. Now let's right click on set equipping. Create that variable. Double click it over here. Or double check it over here to make sure that it doesn't conflict with anything else. Equipping. All it is non-edit. Set base pitch. I'm going to look at these two, yaw and pitch. They're both non-edit because we'll probably go one right after the other. Create both of those, both under non-edit. Compile. set loop montage. So right click on that. That is non-edit. Same thing with loop playing. No other special settings there. Compile. Okay, so one thing here, because we redid that name, it is going to complain to us that these are different. So what we need to do is set this back to, well, let's double check where this is coming in, because we already have a character set. We don't need to set it twice, because if you look, do a find references, it's setting the character here already. We don't need to set it a second time here because it's got the error set right there. The rest of them are all gets. So this is from the code when it was originally sent to the character. We don't need to do that. What we could do is get ALS Yeah, it's not going to let us do that. So what we can do instead, is we need to open up the variables, go to references, drag out the ALS-based character, get that, and drag it to this player inventory component. So we don't need this stuff. All we're doing is making sure that the character is valid. If it's valid, then it goes to setting all those variables. The variable has already been set. So one thing we'll do here is just rename that to set character variables, compile and save, and we'll continue moving through these variables. So is in error, right click, create that. Let's see, is in error. That's just non-edit. Set jump land end, start end, do both of those. Let's check both of them over here. Start end, land end, they're both just non-edits. Hit compile here. You notice that the animation or the errors are pretty much gone. Let's do a quick play here. Character seems to be moving how it should. You will notice though, still does not equip, which is fine because we're not to that point yet. So let's go ahead and expand all these up. They would have closed. Get back to now. One thing that we need to make note of here. You'll notice that there's something different about direction, and the little I is saying that it's instance editable. So somewhere it's making a change to that. The default one, because there was already a direction created for the ALS-based character, and so direction doesn't have that setting. So let's do a search for direction. So what I want to do is to check that, because it might rely on that later in the code, and it won't actually be able to do what we're expecting. Also, it limits the direction to 180. It sets that. So it's minus 180 and plus 180. So let's go ahead and put that in the slider range, minus 180. Oops. And then plus 180. And that's just limiting the amount that it can go, which is what the characters use in their blend spaces. So we've got all the interfaces added. We've got all this code from the event graph pretty much brought over from the survival game kits AnimBP over into the mannequins AnimBP. We've got all the variables set and created. We've changed the direction for the custom for the settings for the direction variable. And now let's go ahead and create, because it'll become a little bit more of a pain to do it later. You'll see at the end here, there's all of these idle jaw, crouch, these different animations. So let's drag these out here, one after another, and let's just put them all on the screen here because we want to create those. Whoops. We want to easily and quickly create all of these because they will be used in the anim graph here pretty soon. So rather than work our way through the errors, we already know that these are here, and we want to create them now because they have settings and things we want to. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's all of them. So select all those, right click and hit copy, go to the events tab of the mannequin anim BP, paste those there, and just right click and let's create them all. We'll look at the settings after. Now let's see what the settings are for these. So first of all, there's a category, so Control C that, and it's the same category for all of them. So we'll just quickly work through all those. And then we'll want to do a compile after this so that it shows the default values, because we'll have to set each of those. And then each of them are instance editable. So let's go through each of these one at a time. On the first one, right click on the default value, hit copy. Go to that same one on the other tab, hit paste. There it is. And then check instance editable. Go to the next one, right click on the default value. Select the second one, paste that over. Also instance editable. Let's just work our way. Oh, I hit copy instead of paste. All right. Let's just work our way through all of these. So that they match between the two anim BPs. And then we'll double check all these settings afterwards. All right, so each of them have their own animation, and it says instance editable. So you can compile and save that. And then you can delete them off of here because they all exist now. And then the same thing, you can delete them out of your third person anim as well. So now we want to start merging these. If you have a search in here, go ahead and close that. Go to graph. Let's open up the anim graph. So here's the anim graph for the survival game kit. Here's the anim graph for the ALS system. And so what we want to do is to zoom out here and then highlight everything from the third person anim, which is the survival game kit. Right click on one of them and hit copy or hit Control C. Paste it in there. And then we'll bring them somewhat close. And now we're going to have to start merging these two together. This is something that, depending on the system you're trying to do, can be somewhat complicated, but we will try to make it as easy. They will all generally be similar. So first of all, here's the Locomotion for the survival game kit. And then here's the Locomotion for ALS. So we actually want to use the ALS one, drag that into under Set Locomotion. We'll drag that over. So now we have the one from the survival game kit and then main state machine here sitting by themselves. And then that's that input right there. But one thing we want to do is see this aim offset X and Y. We want to copy that because there's references through here of yaw and pitch, and we want to replace all those. We want to use this aim offset X and Y instead. So go ahead and replace each reference. I think there's only 3, but we'll double check that. Okay. And then we want to take all of this, right click, hit cut. We're going to paste that down below. And then see this right here where it says use cached main state machine. Go ahead and right click and break that link right there and then drag that up with the other one. We'll decide if we want to use that later. But you also have here left over that final animation pose. Drag it to the very bottom. So now you have off of this blend if true, the aim offset, which we're going to come back and swap some of this later, kind of move it around so that it works correctly. But for now, we'll drag this in here so it all connects. Still have the ability to move around, but you've noticed we now have the ability to pick up a gun. So we've got the initial setup, but if I right click, I can't aim down sights. I can switch to first person, which works correctly because it has its own first person and MVP, but I cannot bring it up and aim. But we are getting closer. Some of these features will work. Look at that. So we're getting close. A lot of the features are starting to come together. It's mainly the gun interactions at this point. So let's go ahead and finish polishing up the gun interactions here. And to do that, we need to open up the mannequin NMBP. Let's get in the anim graph here. And I've actually changed my mind on one thing. This aim offset that is, so if you're looking at what we're at so far, here's the whole NMBP for mannequin. Go towards the end. I have this aim offset here. Let's take that out for now. So just drag past it like this. And then just put it up with some of this other unused things that we have up to this point. So we're not using the main state machine cache pose. We're not using the old Locomotion. We're not using the main state machine where it's picking up that cache. And then let's leave this aim offset here for now. We're just going to store those for later. And then let's take a look at this very end piece right here. You can just kind of move it back in, but this right here is going to pretty much allow a full body ragdoll when you die. So that's the point of it being there. And then let's take a look at the beginning. So at this point, this is the ALS state machine, and it's going through and just doing all of the weapon stuff. Up until this point, this is when we get to more of the ALS code. So one thing that we will want to do is add some things in here to deal with that upper body code a little bit. First of all, when you're turning in place, there's some things that we don't want to do, but we have to get the code from another place for part of the code. So let's start looking in the anim graph. So to do that, go back to this main state machine. That's at the very beginning of all this. Go into Locomotion. And then inside of the Locomotion, there's some information here that I move outside of this, and I put in that original anim graph. So go ahead and actually drag this over because we don't want to take that. So highlight everything in between the Locomotion and the output. Right click and choose cut. And then just drag and reconnect the Locomotion to the output. So you'll just have a simple one going right to the other. And then click this right up top where it says anim graph to go back. And then let's paste that down here. So now what we'll want to do is, and this may be something new for you, but from where it says blend poses by bool, I want you to drag out of that and then just type cache. Now we want to do a new saved cache pose, and we can call this turn cache if you want. I mean, you could call it whatever you want, but we'll call it turn cache. And then what we want to do is drag from the source where it says slot turn in place, type turn cache, and it says use cache pose turn cache. So we're going to have an input there, and drag that up. And then what we want to do is, so where it says slot turn in place, put that next to it. And then we're going to put something in between the additive land and this turn in place slot. So go ahead and drag out of here, out of the turn in place, and then type layered blend per bone. And what we want to do is copy, see where it says use cache pose, turn cache here, Control C or right click and copy, then Control V, paste that, and then we're going to put that in blend pose 0. And then the blend weight should be fine for 1. And then we need to look at the layer setup here. And then there is branch filters. So I think we probably have something similar somewhere else that we could find. But what we want to do is for branch filters, hit the plus there. That'll add a section. And then expand that where it says 0. And then for the bone name, type spine with capital S, spine underscore 01. And then for bone blend depth, let's try 3. And I think we checked the mesh space rotation, but I'll verify that. I'll verify that, and we'll come back to that before the end here. So go ahead and spine 1, blend depth 3, mesh space rotation, check that box. Hit compile. Now everything's not finished being connected yet. So now with the additive land, go ahead and connect that to the layered blend per bone. And then we're going to connect this additive land to the slot full body. And then we'll just leave all this code to be the same for the additive for secondary motion. Let's go ahead and hit compile and save. Let's see what happens really quick. Okay, we're still able to move. Able to pick up a weapon. Of course, it's not allowing me to aim it yet unless I'm doing the first person. But that is fine, but everything still works. We didn't break anything. So now we need to go back into the mannequin anim BP, and we need to go back into the main state machine. And here under Locomotion, let's go ahead and go. So you open up Locomotion, and you'll see another one called Locomotion. And then here is your various states. So there's not moving. There's when you're pivoting, when there's moving, when you start to stop. So let's go ahead and go into not moving, and then to not moving state machine. Here's your various, if you're neutral idle, left foot idle, if your right foot is forward idle, crouching right foot idle, crouching left foot idle. So I don't know that we need to do anything. I might put some things here, but let's see if it works properly without doing that first, without the neutral, because the neutral is not holding a weapon if we do this a certain way. It really depends. The reason that you would do it for neutral as well is if you don't automatically place it in neutral, or if you don't allow a weapon to be held in neutral mode. So if the second you pick up a holdable, you change to where the left foot is forward, then you would never be holding any item in neutral idle. So depending on how you choose to do that, you may want somebody to hold something in their hand and not be in that ready stance. That is your choice, but we'll come back to that, and you can make that decision at that point. So go ahead and go into left foot idle. And in here, we need to start copying some information from the third person anim. So in that one, so remember, you need to go to Survival Game Kit, Animations, Animation Blueprint, and then open up that third person anim, make sure that's open, and then go into the anim graph. And at the very beginning, there's a locomotion. Now, we're going to compare some of these up. So let's go ahead and get back to where we have this list. So these are all idles. So the real variations that we have is whether or not it's a crouching idle or an upright idle, because you don't have any other choices in the weapon system. So let's go ahead. This would be the regular idle, and the crouch would be the crouching idle. Let's go ahead and open up idle, and you'll see some blueprints that are doing various things. Let's copy them over first, and then I'll explain what those are doing. So highlight everything, and this is under third person anim, highlight everything under the idle state. And then let's open up the left foot idle on the mannequin anim BP. Scroll out a bit and paste that. And now you should be able to drag this output animation pose, just drag it and replace that reference from blend poses by Boole. And what we end up replacing is where it says play animation sequence. You could do this two ways. I'm going to show you the quick way to do it right now without really getting into the whole survival game kit system. But what you could do is set this animation as the default animation under idle character animation for this character in weapon component, and then you could leave this as is. So if you look at what this animation is, it's the ALS underscore FLF underscore idle underscore pose. You could find the setting in your character and set the default to idle hands. What we could do if you want is right here is the sequence. Let's try this first. So what I did is I selected the play ALS. I did the little search symbol up here. It then takes me to where that is in the file browser. So then I'm going to select the idle character animation. This is under the mannequin anim BP. And then I'm going to hit this left arrow here where it says idle hands. It's now using the ALS LF idle poses. So now you can keep this down here for reference, but this is going to be the idle character animation. And then what it does is if you're holding an item, so this is a true false statement here. If you're holding an item, it does the things up here. If you're not, it's going to play this default idle animation. And then if you are holding an item, are you right-clicking, which is the aim mode? If you're right-clicking, it's going to play this option up here, which is all set in your character settings. If not, it's just going to hold this one. It kind of holds the gun lower down. So this would be for the not moving state. For left foot idle. Now go ahead and go back. So I click up here. Depending on your screen size, you might see different things, but it's not moving back, state back to not moving. And then you can click back in that not moving state machine. And then let's go ahead and select crouching left idle. We're going to do a very similar thing. So in the third person anim, click back to Locomotion and then go to crouch. And then bring this a little bit closer together. There we go. Go ahead and select all of that. Control C. Go back to mannequin. Scroll out. Control V. And then let's go ahead and connect these up just like we did the other one. And let's do the same process of finding this animation. So hit the search. Now it has that one selected. Go back into the mannequin anim BP, select that variable, hit the left arrow. There we go. Now that one is selected. So let's see if this has changed anything. Nope, still not letting us hold this. So we still have some more places to replace. So go ahead and go back. So in not moving, we were in the sequence. We've done, I'm not going to worry about right foot because personally I don't use right foot, but you do the exact same process for right foot. So you would take the similar code from left foot and you would do it in right foot. Same thing with crouching right foot. You do that exact same process that you did on the left-hand side. So let's go ahead and go back now. Now, actually, the reason it's not working is because we are not doing the neutral idle. It's not doing the right foot forward or left foot forward yet. And so if we really want to test this immediately, let's go ahead and go back to Showcase to your level. Scroll up to the top, Advanced Locomotion, Blueprints. Go to your ALS-based character. Click on the top left option, ALS-based character self. And then go to Advanced Locomotion System, State Values, and check ALS aiming. And let's see if this makes a difference with holding the weapon. Because see now the left foot was forward. Well, until I right clicked. So let's see what it does. Let me do it without. All right, just got to keep it in that state. There we go. So it was in left foot. So you may want to add that for your right foot just so it doesn't do it. But you see how now he's holding the weapon up? That's because of that code. You can aim. So we're getting closer. So we've got part of it. But the thing is it has to be in that left foot for that to work. So let's now go to, we're back in the mannequin anim BP at the main state machine here. And what we want to do is start putting in for various movements. So we're in Locomotion. We don't need to touch pivot, but let's go to moving. Now this one's going to be bigger and more confusing here. So what we want to do is go to the third person anim, and we're going to have to figure out what do we add here. So this is moving. Let's go back to locomotion. The moving state would be jog here. So under locomotion, under the third person anim, here is jog. We'll just kind of bring this in because we're going to copy and paste it in there, and we want to take up the least amount of room possible. So go ahead and select all of that from jog, Control C, then go back to the mannequin anim BP. Let's paste that up top. Let's look at what this is doing really quick. So this is doing a check. Are we holding an item? If we're not, it's going to do all the normal movements. If we are, it's going to check to see if you're right-clicking. Are you aiming? If you are aiming, it's going to do this specific set of animations. If you're not, then it's going to do this set of animations. So we need to look now at the ALS version. What is it doing? It is checking to see if you're crouching or standing. So we will come back to this later with that crouching code. But if you're not crouching, it's going to then see if you're aiming. So that's one thing that is a little bit different here because we're missing something here. You need to look at, first of all, we don't check the state. We don't check if it's a holding item in this one. We only check that it's crouching, and then is it right clicking? And that's not really, it's not really what we want to do. So what we need to do is come in here and add another check here for whether or not you're holding an item. So go ahead and drag this section up a little bit. And then we're going to do a blend per bone. So what you need to do is drag off of this. And actually, we're going to leave this right foot here because you may choose to leave this. If you get rid of all the right foot code, you could remove this, but we'll leave this here. Drag out of this and to do a layered blend per bone. And then from that, let's go ahead and move all of this from aimed over. We're going to drag that to the side, and we'll drag that up into aiming. And then what we want to do is a similar thing that we did before. You want to hit branch filters here. So you're selecting that layer blend per bone. Expand that out till you see branch filters. Hit the plus. Expand the 0. Then put spine underscore 01. Put a blend depth of 3. And go ahead and check that box for now. Okay, now we'll reorganize this later, but go ahead and drag from that layered blend per bone down to that ALS stance. And there we go. We'll leave that how it is for now. So we've got our aiming or check here coming down. And then we need to do another check here. So we need to see if you're holding an item because they're not really checking for that at the moment. All right, so looking at my work, I noticed that I've got a little bit of this out of order. And let's straighten this out. And because there's so much happening here, I want us to be careful just to make sure that we're following everything correctly and we don't get confused by getting some of these mixed around, because then your upper body and your lower body won't move correctly. Animations may break altogether. And so let's redo this, not redo, but let's fix a few things so we don't end up getting confused in the end. So what I want to do is actually break here where it says ALS aiming. I'm going to zoom out so you can see. Here's where we're at currently. This ALS aiming, I want to break this pin that's going up here. So leave that layered blend per bone up there. And this says ALS aiming right now. We don't want that to be ALS aiming, because what we're more concerned with is whether or not they're holding an item. And so I want you to delete this ALS aiming bool variable, and I want you to drag off of that, and let's type holding item. So now we're doing a check for holding item. And I want you to drag that over. And let's actually run this into this ALS stance. So we're doing a check right immediately to see if we're holding an item, because we need to do that before we check to see if we're aiming or anything else. So now that is going into this large section of code, which is correct. That's how it's going to end up being. And we have a 0.5 for these blend times. That is fine. And now we need to look at where we're going from here. So we've got this layered blend per bone, which the top is going into base pose. That's correct for the standard animation. So these are all the ALS movements for when you're standing and you're not crouching. And so the right side of this layered blend per bone, let's make sure this should be set up correctly. We've got here spinal 1. That's what it should be. That's correct. Spinal 1, blend depth of 3, and mesh rotation, space rotation is checked. And so what we're going to now do is drag the right side of that down into that bool, blend poses by bool, checking the holding item. And now what we want to do is let's move, so select all of that above from all the movement blend spaces to that layered blend per bone. And let's drag that above this temporary item that we have, because we're going to now kind of connect these together, and then select all that code that we had set aside and drag it to the left where it's pretty much lined up, because this is going to go into the bottom of that layered blend per bool. So now we have this set of code, which is correct. That's what we want. Blending here, and 1 is correct for the blend weight. It's then going down to this holding item, pretty much making a decision whether it's true or false, which comes over here to the standard. If you're not holding anything in your hands, it's going to do all the standard ALS movement. It's going to look all the normal way that it would. Now let's fix so this is all correct from this top part up. If you want, you can bring them a little bit closer together, but these are all correct now. So everything for upper body is working correctly. So now we need to do another holding item. So if you wanted to, you could create another, copy and paste this holding item, blend poses by bool, copy and paste that. And then what we want to do is this existing code right here, go ahead and redrag that into the false option. And then the right side of that, drag into crouching. Because we're doing a check. Are you holding an item? If you're not holding an item, do all the standard ALS movements. That's what we want. We want it to act normally. And then what we want to do is now we have to go get some code for the crouching, because in the AnimBP we have, let's go and open up the other one. So this under Survival Game Kit, if you don't have it open, animations blueprint, open up that third person anim. So we originally copied this one that said for the standard movement, it was jog. Go back one, and now go to crouch walk, because that's where we want to be now. Crouch walk, we're going to highlight all of it, right click and hit copy or Control C. And then let's paste this down in kind of an open area at the bottom. And what you can do to kind of get this organized, go ahead and move that standard crouching movement down below it a little bit. And we'll bring this bool just so we give ourselves a little bit of space to work with these. So you want them positioned right about like this. And what we have to do to connect these is actually do one of those layered blend for bone. So go ahead and let's first, we're going to make a duplicate of this movement code. So the standard ALS crouching code, we're going to paste that and put it right above, because what we're going to be doing is connecting those. And so drag off of the newly copied Locomotion crouching code and type layered blend per bone. And the reason I had you move that first is because it's going to default it to the base pose, and that's what we want. And then all of that code that we copied over from the crouching movement, we're going to drag into blend poses 0. And then we're going to drag that into this bool for holding an item. So now everything seems to be connected. Double check the settings on this. What's incorrect about this, because we're pulling a setting, make sure you do this. The reason it has this blue symbol is blend type cubic. We want that to be linear. Let's try compiling now. And that goes away. Same thing with this this bottom one, cubic. Make that linear. Hit apply, compile. All right, so now we've got our crouching and our standing. Let's go ahead and play this really quick and just see what happens. Okay, so now when we're moving, because this is the moving one, you notice as long as we're moving, it's correctly holding the upper body weapon. Now, if we're idle, it breaks because we haven't done that yet. So remember, we're in the moving state. So go back one, and let's look at the not moving state, and let's double check our normal idle. We want to put some things into this non-moving state, just so that for now, if you decide to do left foot forward or not, let's go ahead and do that now. So what we're going to do is go to third person anim, and let's go ahead and go to the idle state, because this will make it easier for us to test and really see. Because it's still going to do the same thing when you're holding an item or not. It's not going to break anything. So go ahead and under Locomotion, under the third person anim, under idle state, grab all that and Control C it, and then paste it. And just to show you where we're at, we're in the not moving state, and n_idle. So what we want to do is kind of the same thing we did before, is this output animation pose. We want to connect that to the end of the bool. And this animation, which is the ALS animation, we want that to be the same if you're not holding an item. So if you look, I see a problem here, right? We've run into an issue where we have this setting that's actually looking for the left foot idle pose. If you do it here, it's actually going to be the incorrect one. So we need to look and see all the references for this idle character animation, because I want to see how many times it's referenced. It's referenced in the left idle, the neutral idle, and then the idle state here. So if you do a search for all of those, we've got idle. This should be your standard idle of not holding an item, and then this left foot idle. So this one we actually need to change. So open up the left foot idle. It should be under your search. And we want to duplicate this, because this one needs to be like rather than being standard idle, it needs to be a left foot idle. Or what we could do is, drag this over into it. But let's go ahead and I'll show you how to duplicate this character animation. So on the left side under variables, scroll down to settings, character animations. And then you have your idle character animation. Duplicate that and type LF idle character animation. Move the underscore 0 from the end. And then drag that out. Type get. And then let's replace this one. Delete the standard idle. And this is, make sure you're in the left foot section. And then what we want to do is compile so you can see what the default value is. So that's currently left foot idle pose. If it wasn't, make sure you select this one, do the search, and like we did before, place it in this one's place. So now we need to go back to the normal one. So double click this under neutral idle, where it says get idle character information. We now want to make this one not the left foot, but the neutral idle. So click on the play ALS underscore N underscore idle underscore pose, hit search. So it's selected here, and then go back to your mannequin anim BP, select the idle character animation, hit the left arrow, and then hit compile and save. Now when you go back to this idle state, this one will be the correct one. So this one's in the wrong one, but now we have, so this is the code from the old weapons code from the survival game kit. And we now have a left foot over there, which we're not using. But in our left foot idle, we have one for left foot. And then our neutral idle, we have the correct one for neutral. So what we're trying to do, let's go back so you can see. So go back one more time to not moving. Now we have right foot idle. And we have crouching left foot idle. Or sorry, crouching right foot idle. If you want those to show, you'll need to do the exact same things that we did before. But create, if you want to, create a crouching right foot, or you can just drag this animation right into there if this is going to be a one-time thing. But we're going to be just using left foot and neutral for now for this test. So let's go ahead and go back. So now we want to do a look at our moving. Let's make sure that everything still looks correct. So we have all of this. That should be working correctly. We shouldn't have to affect any of these two stops or anything else. So click back to the locomotion state, back to the main state machine. And let's look at the jumping mechanics, make sure that's all correct. So we have here when you're going to land. This is something that we need to actually fix, because we still want the weapon to be held correctly when you're landing. And if you don't have the correct code in here, the weapon will lower the second that you land. So let's go ahead and go to the main state machine. Actually, let's go to the third person anim. And let's go ahead and click back to where you see this set of jump end, jump loop, jump start. So we're in the third person anim graph under Locomotion. This is under the old blueprints for the NMBP. And let's go ahead and do jump end, because this is the equivalent of land in the ALS system. And I want you to copy all of this, hit Control C, go back to the mannequin NMBP, and make sure you're under land, paste it in there. Then we want to connect the end of that bool to the output anim pose. And then what we want to do is play ALS and land. We want to, first of all, make sure you can see the right here. So click the ALS and land and hit the search, so it puts it here. Then go back to the mannequin NMBP, select the jump land character animation, hit left, compile and save. that should take care of when you're landing. So click back one more time to get back to where you can see all of those, and click on jump. So we want to do jump now. And we need to go back to that third person anim, go back one more, go to jump start. And let's compare this because we want to make sure we're in the right one. So you have jump, which is jump start, and then you have a fall loop, which is kind of the middle of the jump. And so we want to make sure that we connect the jump start to the jump. So go ahead and copy all of this. And from jump start, paste that into the jump under the ALS system. Now, we need to connect this a little bit differently than what they have. Because they're doing an additive in the air, let's not use this set of code that they have over here. Let's replace that with the existing code and connect this at the end. So it ends up looking just like that. And we'll leave that one because this is doing extra things beyond a simple jumping animation. And then click back one to back to the main state machine. And let's click fall loop. All right, so now in the third person anim, we want to go back to the locomotion and then go to that jump loop. You want to copy all of that, Control C, go back to your mannequin anim BP, and then above that, paste this, paste what you just copied over. Okay, and what we'll want to do is, once again, there's more happening during this with flailing and things like that. You want to remove the animation reference, and we're going to replace it with the existing. Okay, so it's going to look like this, and make sure you connect those ends. Compile and save that. So let's go ahead and go to Locomotion, Moving. Okay, so the problem is, and here it is, I found it. So what we have here is this is holding item, and we're already doing a check for holding item. This needs to be aimed. So let's just reconfirm where we're at. We're under the moving state, under locomotion. And then after you go from holding item, it's coming up here to a layered blend per bone. And then we have it doing an aim check here. Seems like it's doing an extra one. So this code here is not what we need. We don't even need this code. So that was my mistake. Sorry, we're doing this on the fly. So hopefully it doesn't confuse people too much, but let's go and replace that. So now we'll look like this, and then let's do a play and let's see if that fixes that lowering arm issue. All right, so one thing that we do need to fix really quick is, remember that holding item that we removed for when the standing happens? Well, we have to do the exact same thing for crouching. So here in that moving state, branch off of the crouching here, follow that down, then you're doing the holding item check. If you are holding an item, it comes up here and does a layered blend. Okay, well, we don't need this right here because this is not needed. We already know we're holding an item once we reach this point. So go ahead and drag from that layered for blend poses by bool down to the layered blend per bone blend poses 0. Connect that up, and then we can remove this holding item blend. So it should end up looking like this. You've got your right foot up top, left foot, normal animations. You then have the 0 going to your aimed versus non-aimed. And then if you're not holding an item, it comes down here to the normal animations. And this is the crouching animations. So the main thing that concerns me now is the fact that it's not acting correctly when you're stopping. So we're going to have to put some code in there to make it so that it's still holding the weapon correctly when it's doing a stopping animation. So under the mannequin anim BP, we're here at set locomotion, main state machine. Let's open that back up. Let's go to locomotion, locomotion. And then you see these stops over here. So this is the neutral stop. This is the left foot stop, the crouching left foot. I'm going to ignore the right foots because you can do the exact same process. You can just rewatch the part where I do the left foot and do it for right foot. But let's go and do neutral stop. Now, we want to copy code from one of the other states because let's go ahead and go to the third person anim. Since it's kind of a movement, let's treat it like a jog. So I'm under the third person anim. This is the old survival game kit animations. So go to jog, highlight all of that code, Control C, and then in the end underscore stop, go ahead and paste that. Now what we want to do is implement some of this code in various places, but what we'll need to do is actually blend it because this is doing a full body replacement of items. So what we will need to do is let's move the existing code out of the way, and then let's drag down everything right of the blend poses by bool of aimed. Because on here, we have our holding item, and then we need to actually have that go into a blend, layered blend per bone. So let's go ahead and drag off of this under the holding item blend by the bool and do layered blend per bone. Okay, so we've got that. Make sure in the settings, go to that branch filters, hit plus, expand that spine underscore 01. And the reason we're doing that is because we only want it to be from the waist up. Check that box. Okay, and then we need to do a check here. So this one, where it says the aimed, we want to drag that into the bottom of that layered blend. And then at the top, we want to copy the code from the pre-existing one that was here, paste a copy of that, and put it in the base pose. Okay. And then in this bottom one, because we don't want to use the survival game kits animations for when we're not holding a weapon, we want to move the pre-existing original copy and put that into false, and then drag that output animation pose to connect the end. Okay, so now let's go ahead and hit play here, and let's see if this looks more normal. Okay, so that's much better. The thing is, though, is we will want to do the same thing for the left foot, stop. And so we can go ahead and copy this exact same code from the third person anim. Once again, paste it. Oh, didn't copy that right. Highlight this all again, hit Control C. Go ahead and paste it here. And then we'll have to do a little bit of connecting here because we don't want this. This is the survival game kit code. We don't want that. Make a copy of the existing code and go ahead and drag it into the bottom of that holding item bool. And then select all of everything from the true box and drag it up a little bit. And then we want to drag off of that and do another layered blend per bone. So that's only doing, and then make sure that this part goes into the blend pose. Connect the right side of that to the true of the holding item. And then let's take this original one and put it up to the top and put that into the base pose. Connect the end here. Make sure, one thing I didn't do originally was set this so that it has a spinal 1 like we've been doing before. All the same settings. Compile and save that. All right, so now I think we've got it to where it's doing pretty good movement. Seems to be holding the weapon properly. It's going to run really fast just because it's doing some kind of conflicting probably movement speeds between the two systems, but I'll let you clean that up. But you can see we've got it to where he moves around. One thing that isn't working properly, you'll notice if you step off this elevator, there's no fall damage. So I think other than that, let's just double check all other features. Flashlight's working. Let's go pick up an axe. That's working properly. So I think everything except for the fall damage is pretty much working. So let's go ahead and go back to this ALS base character. Let's go to the event graph. And we need to figure out what it is about the fall damage that isn't working, because there's something that obviously is not quite correct. So what we need to do is find out, how do we tell when we're falling? So let's do first is falling. And what we want to do is find it elsewhere in the code. So if you hit the little binocular symbol, you'll see it to the right here. And under our NMBP, there's a is falling. Let's do a quick test here. I want to show you something. We'll do a print string right here. Let's print the state of is falling. Okay. That is correct. So you can Control Z that. And it is correctly setting that variable. But there are other places. So let's go ahead and go back into here. Do the binoculars once again. Let's look under the master character. So this is the one that's the parent. So if you go to the master character, there is an is falling here. I'm going to close this. Actually, I was doing some testing here earlier. And under the event graph, down in the lower right here, there's an event tick. Well, we have a problem because the event tick on the master gets overridden by the event tick of the base. And so this event tick, and let's see what else there might be, event begin play, these don't actually get called. So we had to figure out what do we do to make it so that we can still do this begin play, and we can still do this event tick that's right here without it actually being called. And to do that, we're actually going to need to call them from the we have to call them from the base character. And so let's go ahead and let's run through this really quick. And we're going to have to create a new event. And so instead of this event tick, let's do custom event. So we're going to add a custom event. Let's call it falling detection. Okay, so I've got one called falling detection, and it needs to be run on owning client and reliable. So we're going to, instead of this event tick, you actually can delete that event tick because it'll never run. Falling detection, and then we will drag that over there. And then we also had the event begin play. And we want to see what's actually happening in here. It is setting something with the camera view. We can ignore that for now. I don't think that's super important at the moment. It's not going to break what we're doing. So let's ignore that part. So we now have a custom event called falling detection. It comes into this set all character rotations. We don't need all of these things. We don't want to set the rotation, rotation. We want all of that done by ALS. We like ALS's version more than the Survival Game Kit's version. So drag from inputs to is falling. You can break this pin number 2. Doesn't need to go there. And then in here, I have a test so that we can see it'll print something on the screen if it's falling. Because we want to do that. We just want to see that it's working because it wasn't being called before. This whole time it should have been printing that print string, and it never did. So let's go ahead and hit play now, and let's see if we start seeing the state of the falling printing constantly. Okay, we don't. Well, that's because we're not calling it yet. So we've created the reference. So go back to the event graph here. We've created this reference, but now we need to go into our base character, and we actually need to call this falling detection. So this is an event tick. And what we can do is actually do a third sequence. We already have a sequence here that we're using to be able to call this. And so either we could do under do every frame, or we could do a third one here. And I think that if we just do a third one, I think that would work just fine. I don't think it's going to. So let's go ahead and let's try a third one right here. And what we want to do is just type falling detection. See there, we already have a function. So let's test this really quick. Now let's hit play. See how it's true, false, true, false. So let's go ahead and jump off this ledge. We didn't take any damage. So to find this, let's go ahead and go back to that master character. And we looked at this begin play. That's something that exists already in the ALS-based character, but we didn't need to do that. We had the event tick, which we've created a custom event to bypass. Well, the other one is on landed, because this exists because ALS does things with event on landed. And so this is never being called because it's being called in the child instead. So we'll need to create another custom event. And we can call this one player landed. You can probably pretty much call it whatever you would like, but we want this to be run on owning client and reliable, and then just drag that to the on landed. So you now have a custom event, executes on owning client, it's reliable, drags into on landed, all the code in there is fine. That works. And then let's go back to the ALS base character. And what we want to do is go find on landed. Okay, in the left hand, search for on landed, open up that event. All right, so here is the one that's causing the other to not work. So let's put a sequence right here. And then we want to drag off of the then one, player landed. Okay, let's go and test this really quick. Could not find a function called player landed. We need to compile and save this. There we go. Quick save all. Do fix up redirectors. All right, so let's go ahead and let's run to our platform. Let it get to the top. Let's jump off. There we go. Fall damage is now working correctly. So we're able to equip armor. We're able to craft. We're able to build. Got a full inventory. Crafting works in that. You can pick up weapons. Let's go ahead and test firing. First person works. We properly take damage. Save points will work. All these crafting things work. So I pretty much think we've hit the point where we have a complete and working system. So you may find some things that you'll tweak. This is kind of the starting place. This is a very complete system. I think it's the good start for any kind of a game. And so hopefully you were able to follow this whole thing through. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to leave a comment in the YouTube comment section, or I have a link to my Discord now. I've created a Discord where people can ask questions and give suggestions if people like to help other people with problems in programming. It's a good place to go and give tutorials, give people good informational links, whatever you might have. I encourage you to come join our Discord, because it's hopefully going to be a growing place where it's a good source of information for other people that are interested in game development. Make sure you like and subscribe this. And if you are interested in more videos, I plan on doing some more. If you have any specific topics, in our Discord, I actually have a channel where you can suggest different topics for my YouTube series. And so if you have a specific product you want me to cover, or if you have a certain problem that you'd like to see solved, go ahead and leave that in that channel, and I will put that on my list of things I want to cover in future series. So thank you very much, and I will see you guys in Discord.